This is the Biz News Podcast, one-on-one conversations with experts in business and personal development.
Gene Jones is a collector of sorts, not of balls of string, nor coins or stamps. Mr. Jones collects wisdom. His latest endeavor is a new book, Consolidated Wisdom, the ultimate book of quotations for success, happiness, and health. He joins us for this episode of Bizgnus Interviews to share some of the more than 1,500 bits of wisdom that he crammed into his new book. Gene, I have to ask you something. Do you collect string? Because you certainly have collected an awful lot of wisdom, sayings from people famous and not quite so famous. What got you started doing this?
It actually started because I was a game show host. And in my game show, I like to ask people if they knew who said a particular quote. In fact, my game show always ended with the question, and I would give Love Conquers All in Latin and ask who could translate the phrase or who said it.
And how many people managed to get that right?
Well, amor vincit omnia. And surprisingly, a lot of people did get it right. But the name of my game show was the Give Me a Hint Trivia Game Show. So if people didn't know the answer, I would give them hints until they did get it right.
Was that syndicated?
No, it was actually done live on tour. I toured the show for 35 years, did over 2,500 shows.
It sounds like something you could put on television. What would you call that?
They
You'd be in jeopardy if you came up with something.
Well, I was on television a number of times doing segments for specific reasons. Martha Stewart saw me at a theater one day and booked me to do presidential trivia on the Martha Stewart show. So I was brought in as a specialist on many different television shows over the years.
What on earth got you down that strange path? I've never talked to anybody like that.
Well, we keep on backing up in my career. Before that, I was associate editor and world judge for the Guinness Book of Records. And a client of mine, when I was producing a corporate event, asked me, based on that, could I produce a game show and host it for him? So I said yes. And that got such good response that the next week I had 6 more bookings. And all of a sudden I was a game show host.
Well, I think congratulations are probably overdue.
Thank you.
Out of all the ideas you have collected over the years, what one or two have resonated the most with you and why?
Well, I have to say the book that I wrote, Consolidated Wisdom, has over 1,500 quotes. And in some way, every single one of them resonates with me. Some of them because I find them interesting or inspiring or, give me greater understanding of a particular subject. But then there are others that are kind of quotes you can form a life by. And that's really why I wrote the book, quotes to build a life around. Because if you take a certain number of quotes that really appeal to you and put those in some kind of an order, I put them in a particular file, they actually kind of sum up the way I like to live my life. And one of them was, I never get tired of being useful, which was Leonardo da Vinci. Another one was, may no one who ever comes to you not leave happier, which was Mother Teresa. And another one is, if you want to give a man something, don't give him your riches, give him something that helps him create his own inner greatness, that teaches him his own riches. So a lot of these quotes give you insights in ways to conduct yourself in life. And I believe that with extra wisdom in your life, you can make better decisions.
Here we are in the 21st century, and things just go by at light speed, it seems. What good are quotes in everyday life these days?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I've already gotten some great responses from people who have purchased my book. It's only been out about 5 or 6 weeks, but I've had a few calls from people who said, I used this quote in a business presentation that I did. In fact, one person said, my kid's going to college next week, month or week, I can't remember what the date was, but I'm giving him a copy of the book because he might want to use it when he's writing term papers. Because you can use these quotes for all kinds of different applications that are very practical.
Are these quotes backed up with paragraphs of research that you can share with your readers, or how would you have the book arranged?
Well, the book's arranged by subject. I decided that was the best way to present it because that way readers don't have to read the whole book to start with. They can go to the chapter. If you're interested in business, go to the business and leadership chapter. If you're interested in sports, there's a sports chapter. If you're interested in love relationships, or if you're interested in spirituality or Native American wisdom or nature or all kinds of things, success, happiness, there's chapters specializing in each different aspect of life.
Gene, have you found in your research in collecting all of these quotes that one or two people are far more insightful than others? And if so, who might they be?
Well, I'll put it in two different ways. There are certain people that are quoted more often in the book. For instance, Gandhi is the most quoted person in my book, but I can't really rate them in terms of who's brighter or smarter because each one of these quotes is someone's specialty. So, in what they're talking about, they're the best.
Do you see a common thread among the thinking of all these people that you have quoted?
That's a great question. There is a huge thread. There's a few. One of them is I find that it's very interesting that humans have been dealing with similar issues since the beginning of recorded time. Because this book I researched all the way back to 2900 BC. And the issues that Marcus Aurelius is talking about, the issues that Plato's talking about, Aristotle, Leonardo da Vinci, and all through time, the similar issues come up. And that's why in my book, I have little sections called Great Minds Think Alike, where people from different eras and different parts of the world chime in on similar issues.
It would seem, though, that if we've been paying attention, we haven't learned a lot.
This is true. And one of the points I make in the book in my introduction, is that humans have the right to use the wisdom to great advantage or the right to ignore it. And over time, we've done both.
And
But you
more
ignore
of the
it at your own
second, I would
risk.
think.
Yes, you ignore wisdom at your own risk.
What one quote stands out for you that you have built your career or life around?
Well, the Leonardo da Vinci, never tired of being useful. My parents raised me to always try and be of service to others. And that's something that stuck with me throughout my life. But the Mother Teresa quote that I gave you, and then there's some really interesting quotes on creativity in the book, because I have a whole section on creativity, innovation, and curiosity. But one of them is there's nothing worse than the right answer to the wrong question, because questions are so intrinsic in getting to the bottom of problems and challenges. But if you ask the wrong question, even if you answer it right, you're going in, it's like having directions to the wrong place. You're going to go to the wrong place. It might be a nice place, but it's not where you were intending to go.
What have you learned from putting this together?
Oh, I've learned so much. But I would say one of the most intriguing things is that I discovered the interconnection between many aspects of life. For instance, and this was what made it difficult in some instances to decide what chapter should go with what subject should go with what other subject, because there's 42 subjects in 20 chapters. So I combine one or two different subjects in every chapter. And for instance, leadership. I couldn't decide whether to put leadership with sports or leadership with business, because they're important in both. You can't really succeed in either one without good leadership. But I decided to put it with business because I decided to put extreme desire with sports. But both of those and all of them apply to many other subjects, such as success, happiness, and also if you look at the arts and how to succeed in the arts. And then you start to see the business component of the arts and business. So all these subjects overlap in some way. And that's where I realized the interconnection of all things.
When you had the book put together, did you have a hard time finding somebody who wanted to publish it?
Well, no, because I did it myself. I created my own publishing company, Dreamquest Publishing, and I have published it myself. I hired my designers, book illustrators, proofreaders, indexers, all kinds of top professionals worked on this book.
And now, of course, you have to figure out how to sell the thing, correct?
That's right. That's why I'm talking to you.
What has been reaction so far?
Well, it's been very rewarding, I must say, in the short time that the book's been out. One of my mentors from many years ago called me up the other day, actually, it was 2 days ago, to tell me that my book was so inspiring that he bought a copy for his daughter, who's a major corporate executive. And then someone else called me to say that I think I mentioned it, they've got it for their son who was going to college. And another friend of mine bought 3 copies and is giving it out to all her children. So these kind of things really are rewarding to see that people have already put it to good use. In fact, the place that I take my car to be serviced, the head of service department bought the book, and he just told me that he used it for a project that he's working on outside of work.
What would you like to add that we have not had a chance to talk about? A saying, perhaps?
Well, I really would just like to mention the fact that whether or not they find it in my book or somewhere else, it's really important to heed the wisdom of our elders and past generations, because that keeps us from making the same mistakes over and over again. And the philosophy of my book is, if you have more wisdom, you make better decisions. And if you make better decisions, you'll live a happier, more fulfilling life. And that's really what I wish for everyone who reads my book.
Gene, where can people get more information about you? Perhaps a website?
The best place to go is my website, which is genejoneswisdom.com. My first name is spelled Gene. So it's genejoneswisdom.com. That has information about my book, a whole interesting, if you're interested in my biography, my kind of unusual career and all the twists and turns, and also other books that I've written.
Will you have a saying in the next edition that you have come up with on your own?
Well, one of the things, my next book is actually going to be my own original wisdom quotes. And I already have 200 pages done on that book, and it's already got a title, Modern Wisdom. It's got a cover, and I'm planning to release it at the end of this year.
You've been listening to the Bizgnus Podcast. We welcome your input. Send your email to editor@bizgnus.com. That's BIZGNUS.com. Thanks for listening.